Hello, everybody. I'm Kurt Whitesell, and I want to welcome you to the coolest and most informative podcast in the Westfield, Indiana area. What's Up Westfield? What's Up Westfield is a local chat fest to dig deep into politics, development, and who's doing what, and anything else we can fit into 45 minutes of fun behind a microphone. If you have topics or interests in being an amazing guest, please reach out to us, and we'd love to hear your ideas. Today, I'm here at the Westfield City Services Building, and my awesome guest today has been an important part of the community and dozens of others in the Westfield community. Her passion is an advocate for the kids in Westfield and make sure they have the same resources as any other kid, including tutoring, mentoring, and I'm sure a very long list of other constant requests. Today I welcome Christine Brown with the Westfield Youth Assistance Program. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Real quick, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely.
You know, just say who you are, what you are, where you're from, family, things like that. Just introduce yourself to us.
Sure. Well, I'm Christine Brown, and I am originally from Muncie, Indiana. I technically live in Indianapolis, even though I tell people that I live in Westfield and I sleep in Indianapolis because most of my days are in Westfield. Mm-hmm. I am married 28 years, and I have two boys. One is 22 in college, and then I have a 17-year-old that's a senior that's going to be graduating, and he's going to be going to IU.
Okay. So you have a fun household.
I do. Lots of boys, on. Lots of sports, lots of boy stuff.
So not a wrestling at home?
Not too much.
No, I just picture roughhousing.
At times, I guess it gets a little chaotic.
I wouldn't have done well in that house.
No, because you're not a sports guy.
I'm not a sports guy. I'm not tough at all. And they look tough. Your kids look tough.
They are.
Your husband looks tough.
Yeah.
Everybody looks tough.
Yeah. We're a manly household. And our dog, you would think we would have this giant, dog, but our dog is tiny. He's about 14 pounds, and his name is Brutus.
Oh, okay.
So,
does he think he's Brutus?
He does. He thinks he's about 180 pounds.
So when did you move to Indianapolis?
We moved, 1994.
Okay.
So
that was the year I graduated high school.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least it's not the year you were born.
I know.
So. I've had a few of those this week.
So you went to school. Where'd you go to school?
High school, I went to Muncie Southside High School, and then for college, I went to Indiana University in Bloomington.
Okay, and what did you graduate with, or what did you go for?
I have a degree in therapeutic recreation.
Okay.
So I initially worked with folks with mental or physical disabilities.
Okay.
My first job was at Methodist Hospital with individuals with traumatic brain injuries.
Okay.
And so I worked with them to get them back into life. Maybe they played basketball, maybe they played golf, and maybe now they find themselves in a wheelchair or a traumatic brain injury. And we want to get them back into life and get them back into doing things that they did before.
So it's probably pretty intense, one-on-one.
Yeah, pretty
engagement.
much. Yeah.
Huh. And then how did you get into this work?
Well, that's kind of a long and winding road.
Okay. How about the short little alleyway story?
So from Methodist, I took a job with the state of Indiana at LaRue Carter Hospital and worked with kids that were inpatient. From there, I transitioned out to Hendricks County and worked at a community mental health center with kids, adolescents, and adults. From there, I took kind of another additional part-time job working with youth 10 to 14 in a drug and alcohol prevention program after school. Worked for Purdue University, even though that was difficult.
You did drug and alcohol prevention for 10 to 14-year-olds?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It's a prevention program to, let them know that there's lots of, positive things going on rather than to get into drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not teaching them how to.
Well, I hope I could, but you weren't. It wasn't because they'd already had a problem at that point. I'm sure they may have, but
no. So our programs were after school.
Mm-hmm.
They were free.
Okay.
They came into my program, and we helped them with homework.
Mm-hmm.
We fed them snacks. We kept them active and moving, and then a small portion was just to kind of teach them about good choices.
Okay.
And if you mess up, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You make better choices next time.
Okay.
So from there, working with that program for about 15 years, I had the opportunity to meet Tricia Akers
Mm-hmm.
through that other job, and the Youth Assistance program was just starting,
Mm-hmm.
and they were looking to hire someone and additional staff with
Okay.
Tricia.
And Tricia was what then? What was her title?
She was, I guess, the Westfield Youth Assistance caseworker. We
Okay.
were kind of called caseworkers. In
She was
early.
probably the only employee at that time, wasn't she?
She was.
Okay.
She was the only employee.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when was that?
Started talks in July of 2012, and then
Mhm.
I came on board officially in November of 2012.
And so that was Westfield was the first one, correct?
Yes.
So it was just kind of new. Nobody had any idea where it was going,
No.
right?
No.
And how many years had it been functioning at that point? Do you know?
They started some planning and getting things moving in I think late 2008,
Okay.
and I think they officially launched in 2009.
Okay. So it had been up and running for a couple of years. But
Yes.
very small though, I
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many kids were involved in it when you started, or?
Gosh, I want to say maybe 50
Uh-huh.
when I took over
Pretty small.
Tricia's caseload. Yeah,
So you took over her position. She moved up to the director
Hamilton County Director.
of the
Yes.
county. Okay.
Yes, because we were looking, I think January of 13, Noblesville
Mm-hmm.
came on board.
And so why don't you tell me, since we kind of moved ahead there, what is Westfield Youth Assistance Program?
Okay. Westfield Youth Assistance Program is a program for youth ages 3 to 18. What we hope to do is advocate and connect and empower our youth and families. It is a prevention program.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little confusing to just a layperson because I work in Westfield, but I'm actually an employee of Hamilton County Courts.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that the advocates, which we're called now, we kind of started off as caseworkers and we're advocates, is that we have the ability to bring everyone to the table and have access to, if a family agrees to be part of our program, then we can talk with teachers, we can talk with doctors, we can talk with whoever might be involved in their life.
Because you're a court or a county employee.
Yes, we're covered under a statute
Okay.
that allows us to do that.
And so there's bigger though. Who? Someone figured that out. Who started this kind of?
So it was initially started by Mayor Cook here in Westfield. So
He had an idea.
Yeah, the myth is that when the Westfield became a city, he went out on some ride-alongs with some police officers, and they were kind of pointing out some kids that they knew that were kind of getting in trouble, but they hadn't crossed that line yet.
Yeah.
And he asked, "What do we do for those kids?" And they're like, "We wait till they get in trouble."
He asked a question.
He did. So it kind of started from there.
Okay.
He talked with Judge Stephen Nation. Then they started bringing in all kinds of folks, faith-based, municipality, schools, police, fire. They all went up and looked at a program in Oakland County, Michigan that had been doing this for about 50 years.
Okay.
So, wow, someone had the thought 50 years ago to say, hey, we need to keep our kids on a good path. So they went up, they took a look at the program, and they said, we need to do this.
Is it called Youth Assistance there?
It is.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
they kind of took a lot, someone was doing it right somewhere else, and they used a lot of what they were doing.
Absolutely.
And brought it here.
Absolutely.
And so he went to Judge Nation, who is a county, what kind of judge is he?
He's Superior Court judge.
And that's a county position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so because he is a county head, he probably saw a lot of the resources from a county level
Absolutely.
that he could apply to this.
Yes, absolutely.
Bigger than just the city of Westfield or whatever the mayor had control over.
Right.
Okay. So then when those two are pushing on it, they brought Trish in?
Yes, Trish worked for the probation department at that time, so that was kind of a natural fit that, we want to keep kids out of trouble so that they don't get into the legal system and get into the probation department.
And then so they started a couple of years and they're hammering on, and then all of a sudden they're busy. So they start looking for help.
Absolutely.
And that's when you came on.
That's when I
That's
appeared.
when they pulled you away from the 10
Save
to 14.
Saved the day.
Like a halo. That's great. So I was just thinking about when we met, and I don't know if you remember. I met you when I met my mentee. So I was a mentor. I signed up to be a mentor, and I was a mentee to a guy named Ian, who I'm still in touch with. And he and his family, actually, his mom is kind of a friend, and his younger sisters, go to Student Impact with my daughter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she was showing me pictures of them at a hockey game, and I said, I know those girls. How do I know those girls? And then the mom says, hey, the girls had a great time at a hockey game. I realized they're the same age as Mackenzie.
No way.
Yeah, so it's really weird. It's so just kind of this small world. But I had a great experience as a mentor, and I, as you would probably think, half-heartedly have tried to stay involved to a degree. And there's a lot of people involved now. So when you started, you say there was like 15 kids, you think?
Oh, 50.
50 kids?
Probably about 50 kids.
And then what is it today?
Right now, we probably have 180 on our active caseload.
Crazy.
And there's probably about 40 to 45 in our pending that we're waiting to meet with.
So there's a constant line.
There is.
And then how many mentors do you have?
Right now we have 40 active mentors.
So anyone listening, the numbers don't work out there. We need mentors, right?
Always. That's right. We have about 20 males right now that are waiting for mentors.
Okay.
And we have some ladies as well. It seems like it's kind of Murphy's Law that when we have girls waiting, there's men that step up, and then if we have boys waiting,
just the opposite.
Yeah. But right now, probably for the past year or so, that we've had a steady waiting list of young men and boys waiting for mentors.
And the age group is for the mentees?
It is anywhere between 5 and 17. We typically like for our mentors to commit at least a year. And so we want to match maybe a 17-year-old would be the latest we would match them so that they could spend at least a year with someone. Do you have anybody?
So I guess mine was, my mentee Ian was I think like 15 or 16 because he got his license while we were
together. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you get a lot of people that are that age and they stay in contact with their mentor?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would you say the majority?
The majority. The majority, I would say almost 100% of our mentors have said, I think I get more out of this relationship than the kid does, which I would disagree because I think they're selling themselves short as far as what they're, providing or giving to that child.
But they feel the greatest reward.
But they feel a definite reward. Absolutely.
Do you think it's because the mentors are staying in touch, or do you think the mentees also see the value in that mentor over?
I definitely think it's a two-way street.
Do you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you guys track like success rates from a mentee? Like when a mentee enters the program, do they succeed? Do they stay out of trouble? That kind of thing.
That's kind of a hard question. Keeping those stats and metrics with people, sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
But we do see a definite increase in them staying out of the juvenile justice system. We see a definite increase in attendance, grades, and just overall well-being of feeling loved and that there's someone there that they can reach out to and talk to and hang out with.
Do a large number of the mentees go to jail while they're in the program?
No.
It's a very small number.
It's a very small number. Kurt.
Okay, I just wanted to I thought maybe you'd make me feel a little better about that.
No, I'm sorry. I can't do that.
All right. So tell me the process. So you guys are here in your office. I know kids don't just walk in and say, I want to be in your program. So
Right.
what is the process? How does a kid get involved in the mentoring, the tutor, whatever it is in Westfield Youth Assistance?
Okay. So the majority of our referrals come from the schools.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be a teacher that sees that, little Johnny is just really struggling, can't sit still, maybe, he's just talking all the time, maybe there's just something just doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be that little Susie's coming and she's always hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So that teacher might reach out to the school counselor and they might say, hey, do you think there might be a need for something for little Johnny or Susie? And so the counselor will kind of put a brief description together, send that over to us, and we reach out to the family, kind of let them know that we're free and voluntary and that we're here to support families and youth with resources.
So are the teachers educated? Like, do they know that you exist as much as the counselors? Or are they just doing their job being aware and they tell the counselor, but the counselor's option is you? Is that how it is?
We're one of the counselor's options. We try really hard to go to staff meetings throughout the school year to educate teachers on what we do, that we're available for them. We kind of funnel things through the counselor. That way we don't, maybe someone in high school has 6 teachers and they're all seeing kind of the similar thing, that we don't get 6 referrals on one child. So that's why we kind of funnel things through the counselor. I would say that Megan and I talk with counselors on a daily basis, just about kids.
We didn't name Megan. Who's Megan? We got to stop now.
Sorry.
Who is the staff of Westfield Youth Assistance now?
The staff of Westfield Youth Assistance is myself, Christine. We have Megan Contreras, who just, she's been with us a couple of years and just went full-time in January, which is very exciting.
Yeah. It's probably a big help.
It is. It is. She was already kind of putting in the work, but now she's official. So. And then we have Cindy Olson, who's our part-time administrative assistant. So.
And you all work here in the City Services Building?
We do. Okay. We're very grateful to be located.
It's a nice spot.
Yeah, to be located here at the city.
Okay. So we've got, I felt bad, Megan, poor Megan. And Cindy, poor Cindy. So so in a classroom setting, it's the standard is it goes through a counselor, they refer to you, and then you respond with the families.
Right.
Do you go to the family before the student?
Typically, I will meet with the family, kind of get an idea what's going on. Maybe they're, maybe dad lost a job and they're just behind financially and don't know what to do. Maybe they don't know what to do for a child that's, maybe angry or, just not feeling well. Maybe they need glasses. I mean, it could really be anything on the spectrum from A to Z.
But it's if you can get to the family, usually you can identify what's going on.
Absolutely. And then if we feel like, gosh, maybe it's a single mom and she's really, working hard to keep things running at her home, but she would love to have a male adult role model in her son's life or her daughter. We then that gets kind of pushed over to Megan. She's in charge of our mentoring program. And then she'll go over to the school, she'll meet with the youth, kind of find out what they like to do, what their interests are, so that we can best match that child with a mentor.
So do the families typically, when you meet with the family, are they aware of the program usually?
Not typically, no. Most of them don't know that
Is that weird to you that they don't know you exist? Or is that just kind of how it is?
It's just kind of how it is.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've tried really hard with some marketing, social media to kind of let people know who we are, but it's, we're a small program.
Yeah.
And
people are busy. They're not paying attention all the time.
Yeah.
You're not looking for this probably a lot of the time.
Right.
So you show up and you're saving the lifesaver again in the family. So, but there's another way how else do kids come to the program?
There are times that we will get referrals from maybe a doctor's office or Sometimes the prosecutor's office will send us referrals. It might be that a kiddo's missing a lot of school, and so the process for the school is to send that over to the juvenile prosecutor. And a lot of times they'll send that over to us to say, hey, can you reach out to this family and see if there's some resources we can put in place.
So if the family says, no, we don't want to meet with you, you're crazy, how do you deal with that if the kid really could probably use some help?
Well, our program is free and voluntary, so we can't make anyone be part of the program. If they say no, we might offer some resources just over the phone to say, hey, you might check out this or this resource. But we can't make them be a part of our program.
Can the kid be a part of it without the parents' consent?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So it has to have the family involved.
Parental consent. Yeah.
And you've had people say no.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes those people that say no come back around later on and say, gosh, I really wasn't clear what you could offer, or I really need a hand up right now.
Yeah. So, and when you talk to them, it's probably a lot of times very stressful part of their life.
Absolutely.
Or they have a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
And so some stranger walks in and says, I can fix your kid or your family or help, probably isn't always the most receptive, well-received thing, right?
Right. A lot of times families that are a little apprehensive, one thing that we are really fortunate to offer is that our board of directors is a 501c3, and so they are able to raise money so that we can get kids involved in summer camps. We can get them involved in what we call pro-social activities, which might be something led by another adult positive role model in the community. So it might be karate, it might be art, it might be swimming, it might be sports through WYSI or WYSA. And so our board of directors is able to assist some of our families to get them involved in things that they might not be able to offer their children.
So what is the spectrum of things you offer I know you offer just about everything. But what would you say your primary services are if you had to pick a few?
We have really been called sometimes a glorified concierge because I don't actually, even though I know you think I do, I don't do therapy, I don't run karate lessons, and I don't do... I could probably coach football, baseball, and basketball, but that's beside the point. What we do is we try and connect resources. So it might be if someone needs some financial assistance, it might be that we connect them to the trustee. And if they don't have transportation, I might, provide transportation for them to get to some of these resources. It might be we have someone homeless that is looking for a home for their children and themselves. It might be that they need help with their electricity bill. It might be that their child needs glasses or contact to therapy. Maybe they've had a death in the family or some traumatic things happen. It could be that they need resources for food. It could be doctor's appointments, dentists.
You're kind of like a fixer. Anything.
Anything
you can help with.
Hopefully a connector, yeah. Yeah, a connector.
And so, but I think of you offer mentoring, tutoring, and then just all those social services kind of connections.
Right.
And so, tell me at some point, you can't help them. I mean, like the financial side, you can take them to the trustee, you can take them and offer them the best resources, but you're not a payout organization.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So the mentors, you get a mentee in here, you met with the family, they said, yeah, let's do it. Then what's the next step?
Okay. So then we, as far as the family's concerned, we look at mentors that might be available, and it's not because Kurt's up next on the list for a kiddo, and this kiddo's up next doesn't mean we just mush them together and say, here, go have fun. We really take into account their interest and their lifestyle and things that they might have in common and match them.
So I remember when I signed up, you asked us a ton of questions, and you kind of asked, who would you like you gave us a type, or we got to kind of pick
Absolutely.
a lot of stuff.
Do you have more interest in a younger child or someone in middle school, which most people shudder at?
Yeah.
But those are the fun ones. And then
Keep selling.
You don't think that? Or, some people might have an interest in helping a high schooler, move on to, college or trade or something after high school. Some people are just more interested in those older kids. So absolutely.
So you find someone, you guys do a lot of back end work and make sure, and some due diligence and checking out who to pair them with. And then once you do find the perfect Kurt to pair with the mentee, then what do you do?
So then there's the process on the mentoring side is that if you were interested in mentoring, you would go to our website, www.youthassistance.org. You would click on Westfield. You would go to our mentoring button and fill out the application. Megan would reach out and kind of talk with you a little bit. We would do a background check first because if there's anything that might come up on a background check, we need to kind of know that.
Do people fail because of their background check?
Yes. Okay. Yes. We need to have a clean background check. And it's just for the safety of our children. And our kids come first. So we all make mistakes and things happen. So once the background check comes back, we do an interview with someone from our board or our team. Go through all that, and still, if both parties are still like, this is going to be great, then the mentor goes through an orientation, and then again, kind of talk about what age, what kind of kid that you would be interested in. We're still very traditional in that males are matched with males and females are matched with females. And Megan would send Kurt, if he was our prospective mentor, she would send you a couple of kiddos, no names or specifics, but this is, a 12-year-old that likes this. And you would kind of, say, hey, I think this looks great. So then we would come to match day. You sit down with the parent, guardian, the youth, and Megan and kind of get an introduction.
Such a weird thing.
Yeah, I know.
It really is.
I know,
There's no way to make it easy.
Don't know what else to do.
There's no other way. You have to meet at some point.
And on our end, a kiddo that is talkative, and we think, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. The kid gets there and doesn't say a word.
Shuts down.
Or a kid that never says a word, then gets there and doesn't stop talking the entire time. So
you can't predict how that meeting's going to go.
Absolutely.
But it's part of the function.
It is.
But you're there. You guys supervise it. You kind of carry the conversation and make the introduction.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
So we set a date for the first match. We really encourage the family, the caregiver, to reach out, by phone, text, whatever works for them to set up that first meeting. We a lot of times like for the mentor to go to the home. That way they can kind of see where the child lives, this is my plug equipment, this is the tree I climb, let them kind of show off things and just kind of ease into that relationship because it is a new relationship.
Do many families not want the mentor to come over?
There's some. Yeah, there's some.
But they say that up front.
They typically kind of outline, what their preferences are. Some mentors pick kids up at school and then drop them off at home. Some of them, every relationship is different, which is the beauty of it.
So right away, you encourage them to schedule some time together.
Absolutely.
And how much time do most of them start off spending together? I know you have kind of a parameter.
We like an hour a week. What we find is most mentors end up spending more than an hour a week because that hour goes by really fast. But it's not, every relationship is different. Every scenario is different. And we just encourage mentors to kind of roll with it. You might end up going to the park and playing basketball and all of a sudden, it's an hour and a half later and you're like, gosh, we're hungry, so we're going to go get a snack. Or you might plan to do, some type of sports game. Of course, you
Lots
wouldn't.
Of sports,
but,
going down to the ballpark. I found that when I would pick up Ian, we would because I work out of my car basically. I'd
Right.
pick them up and just hang out, and then it would turn into 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
No,
Right.
easily.
Yeah.
And even like I'd work a little bit of it, but we'd go hang out, go have coffee or something, and so it was very easy to knock out that hour. I found.
Right. Right.
And then the communication's so simple now that it's
Oh,
never.
really?
I never felt like I was disconnected. If
Right.
we'd go a couple weeks, like if we were just busy or on, we're out of town or whatever, I felt like the communication line is really easy to stay engaged.
Absolutely.
Do most people? I know that there are some kids that are pretty young, but is that how most people see it? That it's easy to stay up with each other?
I do. I really feel like a lot of our kids, not all, but a lot of our kids that, especially that are older, have phones and they'll text with their mentors. I was talking with a mentor on, what is today, Wednesday? I guess Monday evening. And he said that, his mentee reached out just to say, hey, I got an A on that test. I just wanted you to know.
Awesome.
It wasn't their day to get together, but they stay in touch through text and phone calls.
You think that mentor enjoyed getting that text?
Oh, absolutely. He lit up.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Some mentors help with homework. Some don't. I mean, that's just kind of a personal preference. I personally probably wouldn't be able to help with the homework,
Okay.
especially of an older child. But, we just encourage people to, stay in contact, be that person that they can reach out to, be that encourager. There really is no special skill set. I mean, you were a mentor, Kurt. So
I know,
there's
right?
no special skill set.
That's why I wonder if people fail the background check.
There's no special skill set to be a mentor.
It's just time and caring.
Yep, absolutely.
So we talk a lot about the mentors, but there's also tutoring. Is that still a big part of the organization?
It is, and it's Megan's done a really good job of kind of ramping that up, and especially at this point in the school year, a lot of kids are finding themselves, gosh, I'm struggling.
Could use some help.
Yeah.
So is the referral system the same, or is there a different about?
A lot of times when we're meeting with parents, sometimes that'll come in the referral from the schools. But a lot of times in talking with parents, that's a real stressor for them if they have to work in the evenings or they're just not able to help with the homework. A lot of times having that extra person in that child's life to kind of just focus on that. And we all know that when you're trying to sit down with your own child, sometimes it's a struggle, with personalities.
I yelled at my son last night. That's right, though.
It's just a struggle trying to help your own child.
Yeah, and so sometimes having another person, a third party. So do a lot of the kids, are they involved in both parts, like mentoring and tutoring?
They could be, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so who are your tutors?
They are volunteers from the community, just like our mentors.
And what do they do? Do they come to your office? Do they go to the school?
We typically like for them to meet at the library. It's not a hard, fast rule, but we like for them to meet in the community in a public setting. And the library is just a great fit because it's usually close to the schools.
The public library.
The public library.
Yeah.
Yes, public library. And that way parents can, drop off and stay if they want and pick up. Yeah.
So you have is that one-on-one as well?
Yes,
it is.
Typically, yes.
Typically, but there are times where there's two students, or
there could be, especially with some of our younger kids, like our first and second graders that might need a tutor. Sometimes that might be a small group, 2 or 3 kids.
But these aren't like math teachers and English teachers necessarily. It's people that understand something and can help and want to put the time in.
They might, we might have some little guys that just need to learn their alphabet, or learn to start reading, I don't think they do Jack and Jane or whatever it was when we were young, but those beginning readers that they just need to build some self-confidence in learning.
And that's probably more than that. Is that an hour thing?
Absolutely.
Is it?
Yeah, half hour to an hour tops.
And so you have someone that wants to tutor. It's about an hour a week as well, or it's the same weekly thing as mentoring?
Yeah, we like to keep it consistent. That way that child knows that they can look forward to that time with that person, and that, if they have homework that they need help with, or if it's that young kid that they really get excited.
Can I get a tutor?
We can work on it. I'll have to find something really,
you don't go that low,
someone
right?
really special. Oh,
So-
I didn't say that out
No, you
loud,
didn't
did
say
I?
that, did you? So do you have a shortage of tutors?
We
Or
do.
a need for tutors?
We do.
And so who do you want as a tutor? And this isn't just warm body syndrome necessarily, but
No, it's not.
you want people that care and will engage.
We need tutors of all caliber.
Mhm.
You know, those caring, loving people that can sit down with a first or second grader to learn, you know, their letters and numbers and build their confidence with
Mhm.
reading, all the way up to high school kids.
And there's obviously the mentor program. It's for adults
Yes,
to mentor kids.
21 and up.
Is that the same with the tutoring? Would you accept like a high school kid that wants to tutor a younger kid, or?
We do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of that same process that
Yeah.
they would meet at the library.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, our high school kids have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. We've had some kids in National Honor Society and some of those
Mhm.
clubs.
I don't know what that is.
I know, it's okay. It's okay. Some of those clubs at the high
Uh-huh.
school that have tutored some of our kids as
And
well.
so, do they push them here, or do they volunteer to do that? Like, is it a student? Let's say you got a senior in high school.
Mhm.
Do they say, "Hey, I want to tutor," and they say, "Well, you can tutor it with youth assistance," or is it like a requirement of the class?
No, it's usually just a
Just someone
volunteer.
that-
I know
okay.
a lot of the clubs need volunteer hours and things like that, but yeah, we
Okay.
just need kids to
Mhm.
work with our kids too.
Yeah.
Because they see them as rock stars.
So, what's a typical day of you advocating for kids look like? This is serious. I mean, do you have 2 days alike?
No,
Uh-huh.
never.
And you have 2 phones, which
I do.
so
You
you're one
saw
of those.
that.
You're a busy person. So and you carry these folders around. So what is a typical day for you?
I know you don't like paper.
I
but I still do. I'm a transition.
You're fine.
I'm a transition
You're fine.
between paper
You're
and
fine.
electronics.
I wish I could do that. Like I envy some of the great brokers have this filing system that I see it and I think, wow, that's amazing. And I buy the folder.
and it
And
sits
then
there.
yeah, so I just quit with the paper. But I wish I could do that. It looks wonderful.
Yeah,
you know
it's
where
very
everything's
impressive.
at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you get? You start early. You start late. What's your day like?
It just really depends on what I have going on.
Mhm.
Sometimes we'll have a board meeting that starts at 7 a.m. Or sometimes, you know, I might have, like on Monday evening, we had a mentor appreciation
Mm-hmm.
get together. And
Mhm.
so that was until, 8:30
Yeah.
at night. So it really just depends on the day.
But you're meeting with families.
Meeting with
typically in the
families,
evening.
talking with kids, going to committee meetings
Mm-hmm.
to keep our organization, so to speak, up
Mm-hmm.
and running, and some of our fundraising events.
Are you because you're what's your title again?
Early intervention advocate.
Since you're an early intervention advocate, you think you're just working with kids all day,
No,
or that's not.
No.
That's probably a small fraction on a daily basis, right?
sometimes it is.
You're running the organization
Yes.
more so, and
Yes.
so you're talking with the schools.
Talking with schools, talking with counselors, talking with community members about donations. This morning was a summer meals kind of kickoff meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Youth Assistance, along with the township and Student Impact and the community, provided summer meals
Mhm.
for our students that might
Cool.
not
Yep.
have breakfast and lunch in the
Mhm.
summer like they do during the school year.
Yeah,
So,
that's a pretty cool program.
yeah.
So do you brought up Student Impact, and the leadership over there is pretty shaky. But do you guys work along? I'm joking. Do you guys work alongside each other pretty well, or
We
are
do.
you engaged?
We do.
Mhm.
We do. We work with a lot of the same kiddos in
Mhm.
different capacities, so we try and support each other as
Mhm.
far as coming together to support that child and that family.
Is Danielle a referral source?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if Danielle can refer to you,
Mhm.
anybody can refer to you,
Anybody
right?
can
Yeah.
refer. Yeah, absolutely.
So what kind of problems do Westfield kids have? We live in a very well-off, established, wonderful, safe community,
We do.
right?
We do.
So we
do.
don't have any problems.
You know, we try and look at what strengths do those kids not have in their life
Mhm.
instead of maybe saying what problems
Okay.
does the city have or the kids have or
Uh-huh.
the families. what strengths can we build on? But a lot of people don't feel like, because we do live in Westfield, because we're here in this nice environment, but there is homelessness, there is food insecurity, there is financial, a lot of people are underemployed. So, just trying to support those families, it might be a temporary thing, that we can try and help them get over the hump, and then they're going to pay it forward at some point.
And do you think that, so if you plop down in another community that's probably not less fortunate, same problems?
Absolutely.
Same exact problems?
Absolutely.
Do you think it's harder to have those problems in a place like Westfield, though?
Yes.
Because we can't talk about it, or it's...
Well, I just don't think people realize the enormity of this food insecurity or the homeless or the underemployment or resources.
I can't imagine we have homeless people in Westfield, right? I just can't imagine that, but we do.
We do. It's not that they're, standing on the street corner asking for money, but we have a lot of families that are couch surfing with their children or sleeping in their cars, and that's the one thing we don't want to happen. We want to make sure that we're reaching those families.
So when they get referred, let's say a kid at school gets referred, because it really is the kid that's the problem.
Absolutely.
And you start finding this stuff out. You bring all your resources in and try to establish some solutions for them.
Yes.
And then you get out of the way. Or do you stay engaged?
It really depends on the family. Sometimes you can give resources to a family and off they go. They're running, because
they just need a little bump.
They just need that little push. Other families, you might walk alongside them for a time period, and then they kind of are good.
Yeah.
And then there's other families that just, they kind of have highs and lows, and they struggle, and so we just kind of are there to provide resources in and out when they need it.
Do you get, once a kid is out, let's say a kid leaves the program, do you have a lot of families still, or have you had a lot of families that still use your resources or stay in contact with you for help?
Yes.
Because they don't get kicked out of. I mean,
no,
I know nobody really
no,
gets kicked out of it.
No, no.
But so you do still offer as an advocate for the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of that we want to advocate for them, connect them to things that they might need, and those needs might change over time. Their first graders' needs might be different than their high schoolers' needs, and it might happen at different times. And then we want to empower them to keep on that success.
That would be hard for me. It takes a special person. So it does, to understand that and be compassionate and patient and not think, you and I guarantee you, we measure success differently.
Absolutely.
And so, and you're probably, I'm very black and white on a lot of stuff, but because you understand, you know more than I, you can't just be black and white on stuff.
No.
And that's definitely a skill set and important. So, all right, we have a couple minutes left. I want to, and I feel like we learned more about the organization than I was going to ask, so I appreciate that.
No problem.
What are some things, how can we get involved? I want to know how we can get involved, like for mentors and tutors.
Okay, mentors and tutors, go to our website, click on Westfield. There's some buttons that say, are you interested in mentoring? Are you interested in tutoring? Click on that.
It's an amazing website.
It is. I think there's somebody that put our website together. Yeah.
If it's not working right, it's Matt Gaylor's fault. Okay, so they can go to the website and sign up. And you guys are real responsive on that. So you get applications. If someone just has questions, they can do the same.
Absolutely. Reach out to us anytime. They can call the city services building here, and they'll patch you right through to us.
And then money. You are not a wealthy organization. You always need funding.
We always need funding. We're always looking to, our goal, I would love to be able to send every youth that we work with to some type of summer camp, because I think that's just an amazing experience for our kids.
Is that like $100 a kid, $200 a kid?
Typically, it's anywhere between $140 to $200, depending on what the type of camp is. If it's a day camp, overnight camp, getting kids involved. Our community is so amazing about working with us and trying to give us scholarships and different things. Westfield Family Karate and WYSI and WYSA are huge supporters. Yeah.
So, but people can help small. They can say, hey, if I'd like to sponsor a kid.
Absolutely.
Or I want, it can be a small, it can be large.
It could be a small amount, it could be a large amount. We're gearing up for our summer meals program, which we'll be feeding a couple of hundred kids throughout the summer. And, we kind of have it down to about $2.70 a day for breakfast, lunch, and a snack.
Are you cooking it?
No.
And delivering?
No, and that's a blessing, trust me.
You
don't really want me cooking.
No, okay, so you have a big, you asked me the other day, you have several events throughout the year.
We do.
But you have a big event you're working on right now. What's the event?
We have a big event. It's my most precious event, close to my heart. It is the Youth Recognition Breakfast, and that's on March 26th from 7 to 9 a.m. And what we do is we as Youth Assistance kind of sponsor or host this event, and we recognize kids from all over Westfield that might not otherwise get recognized. So it might be a kiddo that was struggling with grades, and they've brought their grade up from a D to a C or a C to a B. Maybe it's someone that had a death in their family, and they've really just kind of persevered and are doing really great things. It might be, it could just be anything, but it's those kids that might not otherwise get recognized.
Is this a public event? Can you buy tickets to go, or is it not?
It's a free event. We have.
But you don't invite the community to it.
Not typically. Yeah. It's usually parents, friends, community members. We want those kids. There's 16 kids that typically get recognized from the schools. The school teachers, staff, administrators send over nominations, and we have a committee
to select them.
To select those.
It is a cool event. You put the kids on the stage. The mayor tells a little bit about them, correct?
He doesn't anymore. We have the person that nominates the student. He
really?
kind of MCs the event. So we'll say that.
The nominator
tells about
the kid. Okay, cool. And they get to come up. Everybody sees them. There's a couple hundred people sitting there watching it. Yeah. And so that's very cool, I think. And all the kids kind of glow, and it's a big deal.
We just want them to know that we see them. We know that they're doing a great job, and we want to encourage them to keep doing the great things that they're doing.
So what do you need for that event?
I need sponsors.
So you need dollar sponsors. You need a title sponsor.
I do need a title sponsor.
And what is a title sponsor?
The title sponsor would be kind of the event sponsor, and that's a $3,000. And that's to help cover our expenses for providing breakfast and getting awards and making these kids feel really, really special.
So anyone that wants to help provide this breakfast and offset the cost of this, and have their name and logo in front of the who's who of Westfield for a couple of hours. It's 2 big screens, I recall, that have logos and stuff on it.
Big screens, social media.
And you've got the top players.
In the program. We have programs printed.
And it's only $3,000.
It's a bargain.
It really
is, especially if someone has attended the event. They'll be all in.
And you're a nonprofit, so it's a donation.
Yes.
And if they have interest, they can just contact you and do that.
Yep. 317-408-9438.
Is that's the bat phone?
That's the bat phone.
Which phone is that? Well, I appreciate you doing this with me. I've enjoyed I love the program. I think it's a wonderful program. And I think there's, for a city or a growing city that has like 40,000 people, there's a lot of opportunity for it. And I hope that you continue to grow and do cool things.
Well, thank you. We're, if someone's not interested in mentoring or tutoring, we always have opportunities for one-time events for people to get involved and kind of get their toes wet. So we always have opportunities for people to learn about our program.
Or just pay attention, right?
Yeah.
Pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
I always guilt. This is my plug when we're looking for mentors or tutors or volunteers. I guarantee that people spend more than an hour a week on social media, just mindlessly scrolling through whatever your poison is.
TikTok's the problem.
Where you could be making a difference in the life of a child.
If everyone deleted TikTok off their phone, they would have enough time to be engaged in your program
and change the life of a child.
It is awesome.
1 hour a week.
And I'm sure that you know if they ever sat with you and heard some stories, they'd be blown away by how it works.
Yeah.
So well, cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
You too.
Watching over me, and other times I feel like I should go. Ran through it all, the rise.
Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow.